Hello, this is a training video for life care professional staff. It's a training video about the Care4IT app. Now, the Care4IT app is the Care4IT is our main rostering system. It is where you all get your rotas from. It is where you go all get your rotas emailed from. So those of you who use CM2000 to log in, the CM2000 information comes directly from our Care4IT rota. This is where we create all the shifts for all the service users. We update all your shifts. So what this app does is it gives you direct access to our main rostering system. What happens is that when we make any change on any rotas, it will come through to this app immediately and directly. So, how do we access the Care4IT app? Firstly, what you need to do is to download the app. A lot of you using live care phones would have had the app downloaded already. But what you can do, this app is available on Android, which is from the Play Store, and on the iPhone, which is from the App Store. So I've got an Android phone at the moment. So what I'll do is I'll go to the Play Store. So you click on the Play Store icon and you search for Care IT Carer. So you can see I've searched for it before. It comes up. So there's two different apps. One of them is called Care4IT, and one of them is called Care4IT Carer. You need to go for the Care4IT Carer. Okay, so I select that. Now, obviously, I've got it installed on my phone already, so I don't need to install it again. But if you don't have it installed, you have to install it, and then it will allow you to open it. So from this screen, this is the first screen that you will see. What would happen is that your email address is the email address that you receive your rotas on. So whatever email address that you receive your rotas on is the email address that you use to log in. Now, if you don't know your password, you can click on the forgotten password link at the bottom. So click on it, forgotten password, and it will take you to a password reset option where you'll first enter your email address and click on reset password. Now, obviously, I haven't forgotten my password, so what I'll do is I'll log in. Okay, so when you first log in, this is the screen that you will see. It will show you all your rotas for the day that you're on. So this is my rota for today. Now, what else you can see is that if you scroll across, you'll be able to see your rota for the next 5 days. Okay, so you can't see anything from that's gone past, but you can see your rotas for the next 5 days. So in your rota, what you'll be able to see is the basic information that you have, which is the name of the service user, which on this occasion is test, the address of the service user, which is Boardman House, and the scheduled time for your shift. Okay, you will also be able to see the type of shift it is. So you can see my two shifts. The two shifts for this test support worker today is 2 shifts for Mr. Test. The 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock one is personal care. The 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock one is a shopping shift. Okay, so on the basic screen, you'll also be able to check the info. Okay, the info will show you again, it will show you the address, but it will show you the care plan details, essentially what you're supposed to do on this particular shift. Okay, now you can also check in. So at the start of your shift, obviously you'll press check in. Are you sure you want to check in? Okay, so right now I'm at the service user's house. You don't check out. Make sure you don't check out straight away, otherwise it would look like you've barely done a shift. You make sure you check out at the start of your shift and at the end of your shift so that we can get the correct time that you've been with your service user. Okay, now to access the specific details of the shift, I'm going to click the little icon of a head. Okay, and it opens up the details of this specific shift. Now, within this, what I can see is the previous visits. I'll be able to see that there's the yellows are the ones where the previous support worker has logged in but didn't log out. The red means that no one has visited, and if someone has logged in and out, the little dot will be green. Yeah. Now the next bit is the notes. Now each of you could leave a note for the service user, and it will come straight into the system. We will pick it up in the system, and also your colleagues who are coming after you will be able to see the information that you are leaving. So it works a little bit like an electronic form of your communication sheet. However, it's very important that you ensure that you fill out the paper version of your communication sheet, because that's the way that other professionals will be able to see that you have attended, and to be able to see what you've done. So using this note system doesn't mean that you wouldn't use the communication sheets at the service user's house. Okay, now we get to the most important part of this demonstration, is the medication. This medication is called an electronic MAR chart. The reason why we are moving to an electronic MAR chart is that this is the safest way to manage medication. It allows us to see what is happening in real time. So if there's any errors, we can identify it and deal with it immediately. So what we have to remember is that this also follows the NICE guidelines. So this is the best practice in terms of medication. The NICE guidelines indicate that we should be able to record medication compliance against each individual medication. Now, the details of each individual medication should be recorded on a MAR chart, and it should specify the times that is being taken, and you should have all the information that you need to be able to provide this medication from this MAR chart, from this electronic MAR chart. Now, what we have to remember, I know as carers, you're all very busy, you're all very caring, and it might not seem like the smartest thing to be able to record medication against each medication, whereas previously, I know some of you who worked in other places record medication using blister pack medication. However, that is not best practice. Okay, this is best practice. Best practice means that you record a medication that you've administered against each medication that you administer. What we have to remember is that you're very caring, your service users are very happy with what you're doing, and we must remember that we are trying to provide the quality of care that we would expect from our own loved ones. If someone was going into your loved one's house to provide care for them, you would want them to use best practice for medication. So in that sense, we believe that it's using medication, using this EMAR chart would allow us to provide the highest quality of care using best practice that we can. Okay, so this is an important part of the quality of service that you are delivering to your service user, and as always, we must improve the quality on an ongoing basis. Now, with regards to the electronic MAR chart, in order to ensure that we're monitoring electronic MAR charts in real time, we have to put in a contingency, something that will happen if there's a technical problem. Say, for example, there's a problem with the app and you're not able to access the app to record the medication. You must call into the office and we will take the details of the medication that you're administering over the phone. That allows us to administer medication in real time in all situations. So if you cannot access the app or the website to administer medication, you must call into the office, and whoever you're calling will take the details of the medication and record it for you. So this has to be done in real time. That's the most important aspect of what we're doing. Now, in terms of medication roles, you will only ever see an electronic MAR chart against your service user where we are responsible for administering medication. We must remember that there's level 1, level 2 and level 3 medication. Level 1 medication is when the service user is independent of medication. They can take their own medication, but we might be able to support them or just maybe remind them every now and then. But they're independent of medication. It is they take the medication themselves. In that instance, unless the service user has specifically wished for it, you will not see a MAR chart show up. Now, for level 2 medication is where we are responsible for administration of medication, and level 3 medication is administration of medication by special routes, which means, let's say, for example, anyone is administering medication through a peg feed, for example, but we do not have any of these at the moment. So it's mostly level 2 medication. Well, it's all level 2 medication. Now, if a medication chart shows up, it means that we are responsible for administering the medication. It's not a case of reminding the service user. It's not a case of they will take it later. We are responsible for the administration of the medication, which means that we have to observe the service user taking the medication. Now, I'll just open one of these examples at the moment. What we see is the different kind of options when we are trying or to administer medication. There's lots of different options, but the main ones that you'll be using is either going to be administered or refused. Basically, if we're supposed to administer medication and the service user takes the medication, then that medication has been administered. If for any reason that service user doesn't take the medication in front of you as a carer, then that is a refused. We're trying to make it as clear as possible. When we're administering the medication, we have to observe the medication being administered. If we don't, the service user has refused. And you can put refuse on the screen. If we do anything other than administer the medication, then you have to call the office. So if the service user refuses for any reason, we have to call the office. Likewise, let's say, for example, we take the option of nausea or vomiting. Now, if the service user takes the medication and it comes back out, then you can put nausea, vomiting, and also inform the office so that we can take action as quickly as possible. So, technically speaking, the only 3 things that you should be able to choose here are administered, refused, or nausea stroke vomiting. So with that in mind, let's look at the administration of medication in this instance. So the shift that I've gone in for is the morning shift. Okay, so we've gone back here. This is the morning shift that I've gone in for, the 8 to 9. That's the first shift of the day. So I click on the face icon. I click on the medication. Now, the important thing with regards to medication is that you have to remember the 6 R's of medication. Okay, the 6 R's of medication are: you have to have the right person, you have to have the right dose, it has to be via the right route. What we mean by the right route is that if you're given if the medication is a tablet, you're not going to rub it on their skin. If the medication is a cream, you are not going to give it to the service user to swallow. So it's the route is how the medication is taken. So the right route, and it's got to be the right dose, it's got to be the right time, and importantly, you have to remember the service user has a right to refuse. So the 6 rights of medication are right patient, right medication, the right dose, the right route, the right time, and the right to refuse. So if we start at this point in time, we know, you can see from the top of the screen there, that this is a medication for test 3. So that's the patient. I know that's the patient I'm supposed to give the medication to. Now, if you look at the details of the medication, we've got the correct medication, and this is what you check against the blister pack. Remember, we only give medication from a chemist created blister pack. So what we have is, we said omeprazole 20 milligrams capsules. You can check against the MAR chart, against the blister pack, and make sure that there is omeprazole 20 milligrams. You need to check that it's the right dose and the right drug. Okay, now in terms of the right route, here we can tell us that it's a tablet, or it's a capsule, and those are taken orally. If it's not, it'll tell you that it's a cream or a gel or something like that, and it'll tell you the route to provide it. Now, in terms of the right time, what you can see for this omeprazole, it says here it's to be taken once every 1 day, and then it goes on to say one to be taken 1 time per day, 1 tablet at breakfast. So that it is breakfast time that this is supposed to be given. And obviously the final right is that the service user has the right to refuse. You cannot make the service user take the medication. We can try and convince them, we can try and tell them that it's good for them, but we cannot force a service user to take the medication. Okay, so those are the 6 R's, and the 6 R's are built into this electronic MAR chart. So the first one, I'm doing my breakfast shift at the moment. So what I'll do is, I know that I can see the omeprazole. I've looked at the blister pack, checked that the medication that I have here is the same medication on the blister pack. I've given the medication, the morning medication from the blister pack, to the service user in the way that they prefer. So obviously, however your service user wants to give their medication, if they want it on a spoon, if they want it in a little cup, if they want it, however, in a saucer with water, however they want it to be given is the way that you have to give the medication. So you've given the medication, and you've spoken to the service user after they swallowed the tablets to make sure that there's nothing stuck in the mouth, and that medication has been administered. Therefore, you go to the MAR chart, and then you start entering the MAR chart. Now, I've checked the blister pack. I know that the information I have here is correct, and I know that I've given the right number of tablets. So I go omeprazole, breakfast. I'm supposed to give 1 tablet. I've given 1 tablet, and it was administered. Okay, I've submitted that. Now, furosemide, again, 1 tablet to be taken at breakfast. I've given that 1 tablet. Done. That's your option. Administered. Submit. Careforitapp. Now, what I know is that I've given 1 tablet of Careforitapp at breakfast time. It's a yellow tablet. Click here. Breakfast. I've given 1 tablet. Action administered. Submit. Now the vitamins, 1 to be taken at breakfast. I've given a vitamin. Breakfast time. 1. Action. It was administered. The digoxin, 4 times per day. Breakfast. It says here breakfast, lunch, tea time, and dinner. So I've given it at breakfast time. Select the option. Breakfast. Give him 1 tablet. Done. Action. Administered. Submit. Thiamine. Now this one, it says 2 to be taken twice a day. So it's to be taken at 2 to be taken twice a day. Once at breakfast and once at bedtime. So we're giving 2 tablets. I know that there was 2 tablets in the medication pack that I've given. So on this occasion, I've pressed time that I've given it. Breakfast. Quantity 2. And administered. Okay, now again, there's another thiamine hydrochloride tablet. It says one to be taken once every day and at breakfast. I know I've given that. Breakfast. One. Okay, we should have an extra line for emergency medication. So, but what will happen is that if you have emergency medication, you have to call into the office, tell us what the medication is. We will create a MAR chart, which should be able to filter through to this EMAR chart immediately, which will allow you to give the emergency medication. But if there's any medication that is not on this list, or there's any change in medication that you see, you must contact us immediately, and we would amend the medication information on our system, and it will filter through to your phone immediately, which will allow you to administer the correct medication. Okay, so any doubts at all? And remember, if you cannot access this electronic MAR chart in any way, you would need to call into the office and give us the details of the medication that you've administered, and we will record it on the system straight away. This system allows us to record medication in real time, so that if there's any problems, we deal with it immediately. Just remember, if we are taking care of the safety of our service users, making sure we give the right medication at the right time to the right person, using the right route, is paramount, and this is the best practice way of doing it. This is a very important way that we can ensure the safety of our service users. So just remember, if you cannot access this MAR chart, or you cannot give the medication, record medication on an electronic MAR chart, you have to call the office and we will record it for you. If there's any difference between the medication that you see on the blister pack and the medication that you see on your electronic MAR chart, you have to contact the office and we will make the changes in real time, which would allow you to administer the medication, the correct medication. And remember, if you have the only two options we should be able to choose, is either administered or refused. And on the rare occasion that you might have given the tablet to your service user and it's been vomited out, then you can choose nausea, vomiting. But anything, if you press anything other than administered, you need to contact the office. If it's for any reason this medication wasn't taken, or it was taken and it came back out, you will need to contact the office as soon as possible. Just remember, the reason why we're doing this, you go to your service users to ensure, to support them, to ensure that they can stay independent in their own homes. One of the most important things that we can do is to make sure that we safeguard our service users. This is why we are moving to the electronic MAR charts. It allows you to provide the safest possible medication support to your service users. And at the end of the day, that's what we're trying to do. Just remember, we're trying to provide a service that will be good enough for our own loved ones. So if you expect that any service being provided to your own loved one needs to be safe, then you can understand why we need to introduce this. So again, I thank you all for your hard work. And if you have any issues with your with the electronic MAR chart or the app, please contact the office and we'll be happy to support you to make sure that you can access the app. Thank you very much.